All right, everybody, we're back here at Kennebunk Elementary School for weather at your school in the rain this morning. And these guys are ready. You got your umbrella. You got to tip it back just a little bit. That's a TV trick there when we do it. You got to do it like that, right? What's your name?
Finn.
Finn? All right, Finn, what's the weather this morning? A little rainy?
Rainy.
And a little chilly.
And a little chilly.
Yeah, but you're ready for it, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll have you stand right over here, okay? Nice, prepared student this morning. What's your name?
Emmett.
Emmett, what's the weather at recess today? You think it's still going to rain? Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of showers? Yeah.
Yeah.
With temperature around 58?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your name?
Zoe.
Zoe, you got the raincoat on. You staying dry?
Yeah.
Rain boots on too, right? All right, that awning back there, you're keeping it dry though for now. But what's the weather after school? You think the rain's going to move out? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little cool still?
Yeah.
All right, they got it down. And the classic raincoat here, what's your name?
Wesley.
Look right over there. Do you like the rain? Yeah. All right, you have an umbrella over here. Do you think it's a good idea to have an umbrella today?
Yes.
Yes. All right, you guys excited to be here? You're hiding out back there. They're all hiding in their hoods, guys, so that's what we got to do. Got to stay dry today. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, it's one of those mornings, right? You got to pull it up and dodge the raindrops that we have.
The body language says a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
Why are we standing out here?
Dodge the showers. All right, thank you, Tim. We'll see you again in a bit. It's 5:55. Wherever your heart falls and where your favorite pizza place is in Maine, Biddeford's Pizza by Alex is raising some serious dough for a great cause.
It's a great pick for favorite, too. The locally loved pizzeria on Alfred Street is putting their homemade pizza dough to work, raising money for Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. Alex Pizza will donate $1 for every pizza sold today through tomorrow to the hospital. This is an annual fundraiser that helps support kids in the community.
For me personally, Barbara Bush has been a part of my family's life, and it's helped a family member back in the day with a birth defect, and he now lives a normal life, and I just wanted to contribute.
Last year, they raised more than $2,200. This year, they're hoping to beat it. Barbara Bush Children's Hospital is Maine's only children's hospital, and funds raised support the purchase of pediatric medical equipment, and they provide financial support for specialized programs as well. And it is a delicious pizza. If you haven't tried it, it's so unique.
Pizza?
I can't even. It's 11-inch. It's got in the
It's its own
pan. You
thing?
got to get it in the old oven. Sorry to everybody who's working at Pizza by Alex because they're about to get a bunch of old oven orders. It takes a little more time,
does
but
look good.
it's delicious.
Another contestant with a Maine connection competing on Jeopardy, which you saw last night right here on Channel 8.
Allegra Hill graduated from Bowdoin College in 2019. She now works in Washington as a foreign affairs professional. Going into Final Jeopardy, she had a $1,000 lead over the returning champion, and she was the only contestant to know the answer and doubled her score.
She walked away with more than $23,000. Not bad. She's going to return tonight to try and defend her crown. You can cheer her on 7:30, another episode of Jeopardy right here on Channel 8. Here at 5:56, we're taking a live look outside towards the South Portland Marina. Still
There
waiting
it
on
is.
that sunrise. There it is. Yeah, it is 51 degrees. See some calm waves there. Some rain happening out there this morning, but overall it's going to be a relatively nice day. We're coming right back after this.
Governor Janet Mills could join the race for U.S. Senate as early as this morning. How already declared candidates are reacting to her potential campaign.
Maine lawmakers reacting to the ceasefire and release of hostages in the Middle East. The latest on peace negotiations happening overseas.
And 2 people from New England dead in a plane crash in Massachusetts, a 3rd person injured. What we're learning about that crash this morning.
Maine's total coverage starts right now.
Hey there, and good Tuesday morning. It is just about 6 a.m. So glad that you are here. I'm Terry Stack.
And I'm Jessica Gagne. Not the best morning to be standing outside, but you know, we do weather at your school in all types of weather, and it's really not that bad temperature-wise out there right now.
I know, Ted's smiling. I think he's having fun, right, Ted?
You know what, guys? It's on the cooler side with the rain. The rain has certainly made things feel damp and cool. So, yeah, you got to have the raincoat on. We got everybody back here under the awning. It's always nice when the school has an awning for a rainy day, and you got the parents and students there ready to join us in a little bit. Let's get right on into it and talk about what's going on. Obviously, right now, we're talking about some light rain. Again, this is not a rainy day, just kind of hit or miss light showers like we're seeing right now. Here's a look what's going on with Tracker 8 right now. We're looking at, again, scattered showers across the area with our satellite and radar picture. You go in for a closer look, you got a few isolated showers across the area. Down here in York County, along Route 1, along the Turnpike, we do have those showers in York County, right here in Arundel, in the Kennebunk area, and Kennebunkport, down in Cape Nettic and York, all in on that as well. Right now, temperatures are in the upper 40s in Lewiston, mid 40s in Rangeley, and upper 40s here in Kennebunk, 52 as you head toward the Rockland area. All right, let's take a look what's going on for the next 12 hours here in Kennebunk. Mid 50s by noon, 59 by 2 o'clock, but you can see cloudy skies much of the day. Can't rule out an isolated shower, but again, some people won't get any rain today, but there's a couple little hit or miss stuff. It will help. Any little drop of rain helps with the drought across the area today. Most of it, though, we really hadn't had much rain out of this nor'easter at all, but there still is a high surf advisory today, and that is till 8 o'clock. Watch out at the beaches.
Go ahead and take a look at traffic. Thanks, Ted. We're going to continue to now see, of course, those wet roads, especially if you are heading across Route 1. Overall areas, southern Maine, 95, 295. We're looking pretty good, all in the green as we zoom into the greater Portland area. Also, no delays or any accidents to let you know about, but we did get note of a house fire in the Harpswell areas, where Harpswell Neck Road, Route 123, is closed until further notice, so we'll continue to monitor that for you and let you know when that is going to be reopened. Otherwise, a look at your drive times. We're looking pretty good there, Jess.
All right, Victoria, thank you so much. Here at 6:02 to your headlines. President Donald Trump returning to the White House early this morning after a historic trip to Israel, where he proclaimed that the war in Gaza is over.
For the first time in more than 2 years, Hamas is no longer holding any living hostages. We're about to give you a live look here. This is Jerusalem, courtesy of EarthScam. Israeli officials releasing nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners as part of this ceasefire deal. Now, thousands of Palestinian families are also returning to northern Gaza to try and rebuild their lives. The future remains uncertain for all of those who have been left homeless and starving in Gaza.
Republican State Representative Rachel Henderson recently spent time in Israel and says she is feeling hopeful that this ceasefire deal could hold.
Henderson was part of a delegation of lawmakers visiting from across the country, spending 4 days in Israel. This is last month. She's sharing with us photos and also stories that she heard from people who were caught up in the middle of the October 7th terrorist attacks. Henderson says that she will never forget a conversation she shared with a local school teacher.
You don't go and stand in the desert and look at a woman who watched some of the students that she taught be killed and see their empty homes now. You don't go and experience that and not be changed permanently.
Henderson watched as the peace deal was signed and says that she hopes that this is a first step towards peace in the Middle East, but expects a long road ahead.
Maine Senator Angus King also reacting to the news of the ceasefire, saying in part, America's role in the world makes a difference. And he thanked those who participated in the negotiations. His counterpart, Senator Susan Collins, specifically applauding the Trump administration's work to bring the hostages home.
6:03 now, 8 Democratic candidates campaigning for the chance to challenge Republican Senator Susan Collins. That field could become even more crowded today. As we first told you last week, sources say Governor Janet Mills is expected to join that race today.
Mills had previously told Maine's Total Coverage she would make a decision by November. Cameron Lobley is joining us live now from the University of Southern Maine. Cameron, what are political experts saying about this potential move?
Well, Jess, Terry, Maine has a 2-term limit for its governors. That means Mills would have to take 2 years off from the Blaine House following next year's elections. And because of that, political professors say that this would be a reasonable next step for Mills and that her candidacy could provide a shakeup among the Democratic field.
Janet Mills is Janet Mills. And if she decides to get into this race, you know, I would say she's immediately the front runner.
She has won multiple statewide elections in Maine, which is not easy to do, which makes her a pretty formidable, I think, opponent for Senator Collins.
And it's important to note that Senator Susan Collins hasn't put in her bid for re-election, although she has told us in previous interviews that she does plan on running again. She's held that seat in the Senate since 1997. Jess, Terry.
Yeah, Cameron, that'll be closely watched today. If Mills ends up announcing, that means that we will have 9 Democratic candidates declared for the Senate race ahead of those primaries, which are just about 8 months away at this point.
And we have seen several of them campaigning in southern Maine recently. So what do they have to say about the potential competition of Mills joining the race?
Well, Jess, Terry, Jordan Wood held a town hall in Biddeford just last night, and we talked with him one-on-one about his thoughts on Mills joining this race. He said it would be amazing to be in the same race as her and told us he would support Mills if she won the primary, but not everyone is on board. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who has endorsed breakout candidate Graham Plattner, has tried discouraging Mills from a Senate run, saying her candidacy would take away from efforts to get Senator Collins out of office. Now, Mills is expected to give opening remarks at a public forum on democracy here at USM a little bit later tonight. It's currently unclear how that would fit into a possible candidacy announcement if she does end up making one today. We're live in Portland. Cameron Lobley from Maine's Total Coverage.
Thank you, Cameron. In her first public appearance since being indicted, New York Attorney General Letitia James is throwing her support behind New York City Democratic mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani. Mamdani is a Bowdoin College graduate, and he has been heavily criticized, even by some members of his own party, moderate Democrats, due to his socialist-leaning political views. James says that she sympathizes with him, though, and understands what he's going through.
I know what it feels like to be attacked for just doing your job. But I also know what it feels like to overcome adversity.
3 weeks from today, James now becoming one of Mamdani's most important backers. He currently holds a double-digit lead over former New York governor and independent candidate Andrew Cuomo. Jessica.
Terry, later today, demonstrators will gather outside of the Holton Town Hall in Aroostook County after 5 of its 7 councilors resigned. Those resignations coming after the town manager, Cameron Clark, was arrested for domestic violence and intimidating witnesses. Clark was originally allowed to stay on the job, but was put on administrative leave last week. Protesters say the controversy highlights deeper issues with government transparency.
We were still going to be protesting either way because the town council came to that decision the first time, and me and others personally don't believe in that. Was the correct decision, and it really reflects a lot of issues that we've been having with town going on for a while now.
Clark has pleaded not guilty to those charges. Until new council members are chosen, the town cannot hold meetings because the charter says 5 members, including the chair, are needed for a quorum.
To Massachusetts now, here at 6:07. A couple from Rhode Island is dead after their plane crashes on a Massachusetts highway during the busy morning commute.
Thomas and Agatha Perkins were the only one on board that fixed-wing plane. One person on the ground was taken to the hospital, but is expected to be okay. It is unclear exactly what caused the crash, but at the time, Massachusetts was experiencing the nor'easter that was coming up the coast and brought rain and wind up to 40 miles an hour to that area.
A man is in jail this morning. Police say he was hurt. He hurt a woman while driving under the influence. Porter Sickles of Biddeford was driving at Route 1 through Woolwich when investigators say he crossed over the center line and hit another car. The driver of that car was airlifted to a hospital with serious injuries. Sickles charged with OUI. He's being held on $10,000 bail.
Charlie Kirk to be posthumously awarded with the highest civilian honor today. What we know about the ceremony set to take place at the White House.
A federal electric vehicle tax credit may be over, but there are still some ways to save money. We'll have a live report from our Washington bureau on how you can do that.
Kennebunk Elementary School this morning. We're tracking a few showers. We're just lucky enough with the drought to be in some of those showers. You guys are troopers. What do you guys want to say to everybody at home? Good morning. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're back for weather at your school. We are here at Kennebunk Elementary School in the rain this morning. Not everybody's seeing rain this morning, but we are lucky enough, we keep saying that, lucky enough to be in the rain because we are in severe drought here in Kennebunk, but also there's a lot of the state in extreme drought. But don't expect it to be a soaking wet day. There's going to be hit or miss light showers like this. You can see all the parents and students under the awning right now staying dry, and I don't blame them at all. It's a little chilly in the rain. Temperature-wise, it's not too bad. Here's a look at Tracker 8 right now, and you can see temperatures coming into the upper 40s. We're looking at 48 degrees in Kennebunk. You can see we're just on the west side of I-95 on the West Kennebunk area. Let's take a look what's going on with the satellite and radar. You can see a couple of scattered showers, mainly inland areas, but even here in southern Maine, we have a couple of showers up and down the I-95 corridor, and that's what we're looking at there. The wider view shows the big nor'easter kind of separating the two lows. There's a low that's still kind of around in the Delmarva Peninsula area. That is not the big nor'easter. The bigger nor'easter is now out in the ocean, and as it gets pulled away and kind of pushed away from that high pressure to our north, we're not seeing the direct impacts. We're certainly feeling the winds, the high waves, the high surf, I should say, and some of these scattered showers from it, but not the heavy rain and not the very strong winds that some of the areas saw. We're looking at 49 right now in Lewiston, 51 in the Freiburg area, 51 in Portland, and 46 in Greenville. Now, as we go through the day today, we're going to be looking at some pretty nice steady showers here and there for some folks, but we have a few showers out here this morning. Fairly mild on the temperature, even though I say mild because of the temperature. We add the rain, it's a little bit cool and damp for sure. And the isolated showers are kind of the headline of the day today. A little warmer today than yesterday. We were only in the low 50s. Yesterday we'll be in the low 60s for Farmington, low 60s as you head toward Waterville, and 59 in the Augusta area. Total Storm Tracker shows the rain. Hit or miss across the area, especially up north where you finally get a little rain. You didn't get much out of it yesterday. And you can see as we head toward 8:30, 9 o'clock, there's a decent shot there in the Rumford, Skowhegan, Lewiston, Auburn area. And then it kind of dries out a little bit, but again, just hit or miss. I think generally today, most of us are just going to feel like it's about to rain, but it's just going to be cloudy and kind of on the cool side. But by tonight, everything does start to pull away. On the 8th day, again, today, a few showers may impact you, not a widespread impact. That's why you don't see the impact on there. 58 degrees, certainly impacting me. Partly sunny tomorrow, a little bit more cloud cover on Thursday. Sunshine Friday looks like a nice day. So does Saturday at 60 degrees. Sunday looks okay for now, but there's a system right on its heels that could bring us rain. It's a cold front, so that could change its timing into Sunday. For right now, it's kind of Monday getting into Tuesday morning. There is a high surf advisory. That continues until 8 o'clock tonight. That high surf advisory, again, is because of large breaking waves, about 5 to 7 feet. Dangerous rogue waves, especially if you're standing on ledges or little rocks that could sweep you off. That is something we're watching for today. As we head into tonight, temperatures down into the mid to upper 40s, low 40s inland. You can see inland areas over the next 8 days certainly look on the warmer side compared to the last couple of days, and drier until early next week. All right, we got all the kiddos back there staying dry, going inside, but we're going to pull them out into the rain next, guys. They can't get out of it yet. They're prepared. They're dressed for it. They got the rain boots and the raincoats as well as the umbrellas, so they're ready for it.
If you're in the elements, then they got to be in the elements too,
exactly.
right?
Those umbrellas were pretty cute too, so we'll love to see them broken out. Ted, thank you so much. 6:15 now. We do have some breaking news to tell you about this morning. A house fire temporarily closing Harpswell Neck Road in Harpswell. Officials are responding right now. It is a dead-end road, and it's closed off south of Mitchell Field. We're working to learn how the fire started and if anyone is home or was home at the time of the breakout. We'll continue to track it and other traffic impacts throughout your morning.
To our Washington Bureau now, here at 6:15, people buying all or partially electric vehicles no longer can cash in on a $7,500 federal tax credit. Democrats passed that incentive during the Biden administration as part of their environmental policy, which Republicans chose not to renew in President Donald Trump's signature tax cuts and spending bill. Washington correspondent Rachel Hersheimer joining us live from our Washington Bureau. And Rachel, there are still some ways to lower the cost of your next car purchase, right?
Yeah, there are, Terry, and a lot of people may be wondering, how can I benefit if the federal tax credit for electric vehicles has expired? Well, here's how. Experts say the tax credit brought prices down for EVs. What normally would have been an expensive electric vehicle became a little more affordable. It fueled interest levels. I spoke with Aaron Bragman, the Detroit bureau chief at Cars.com, and he says automakers are now bringing electric vehicles to the market that are profitable for them and affordable for consumers. There also could be separate EV incentives at the state and local levels. Just do a quick Google search. We were able to find incentives in California and Maine.
The tax credit has been good for just about everybody. It's really kind of fostered this whole nascent industry of electric vehicles. It's gotten people a lot more familiar with them and how they work. It's helped to build out the infrastructure, the charging infrastructure in the United States, because there's demand for it. People want the fast charging infrastructure throughout the country. Even that has really been starting to accelerate.
So car companies like Ford, Nissan, and Kia are offering electric vehicle deals. And just recently, Tesla changed its referral program, boosting incentives for consumers. Back to you.
Now, Rachel, while we have you, it is day 14 of the federal government shutdown. Senators heading back to Washington today after the long weekend. What are the chances that this impasse comes to an end?
Well, right now, neither side is budging at the moment, although the Senate is expected to vote on the Republican short-term spending bill for the 8th time. It has now failed 7 times. On Monday, House Speaker Mike Johnson said that he would not negotiate over Democrats' health care demands until they vote to reopen the government. He also said that he was extending the recess for the House, although Democrats will be planning to meet today and tomorrow. And overnight, President Trump says that he supports Republican leadership in approaching the shutdown and insists that Democrats are just dragging their feet here. So right now, neither side is budging. Terry, back to you.
All right, Rachel Hersheimer reporting live for us at our Washington Bureau this morning. Thank you, Rachel.
Illinois and the city of Chicago continuing to push back against the deployment of National Guard troops as President Trump looks to crack down on crime. Chicago is one of the places we've seen anti-ICE protests in recent weeks because of this. The agency putting a fence around one of its facilities just outside the city to protect it from protests and attacks. But now the government has until the end of the day to take it down. The village claims the fence is a public safety hazard because it blocks first responders, and a judge has agreed. As of yesterday, that fence, though, still in place, Terry.
6:18 here, Jessica. Today would have been conservative activist Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday. He was assassinated during a Turning Point USA event at Utah Valley University just last month. Today, Kirk's wife, Erica, is headed to the White House to accept the Medal of Freedom in his name. That medal is the highest honor that a civilian can receive. According to the White House, it is awarded to individuals who have made exceptional contributions to the security or national interests of America, to world peace, or to cultural or other significant public or private endeavors.
A new one-day surgery offering new hope for breast cancer patients. The procedure combines a mastectomy and reconstruction into the same surgery. Doctors say doing this can help a patient's self-image and confidence through the rest of their treatment, which can contribute to better outcomes overall. The new technique is called total breast reconstruction, and it's being presented at national conferences across the country in the hopes of advancing the standard of care.
6:19 here, the FDA approving another blood test which could help determine whether someone has Alzheimer's. Officials say the test is geared towards adults 55 and older who are showing signs of cognitive decline. It works by testing for high levels of a protein known to be associated with Alzheimer's. This is the second blood test that the agency has approved to help detect the disease.
Support for Windows 10 users ends today, but there's still options for those who are using it. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has the details.
In today's Tech Bites, the end of support for Windows 10 users. Well, kind of. After today, users will no longer automatically receive important security updates. However, if you just can't let go of Windows 10, you can sign up for extended security updates to get one more year of support. Slack says its new chatbot will give every employee AI superpowers. Stay with me. It's called Slack Bot, and it's designed to help with project planning, finding files, and scheduling meetings. Slack Bot is being tested right now, but is expected to be rolled out by the end of the year. And job postings are coming back to Facebook. The listings are returning to the platform after a 3-year hiatus. They can be found inside a tab on the Facebook Marketplace section. Only those 18 and older, though, need to apply. Those are your Tech Bites. I'm Stephanie Ramos. Have a great Tuesday.
All right, everybody, we're back here in the rain. It's kind of settled down just a little bit. It was going pretty hard there for a little while. Again, today we're going to see kind of hit or miss showers because that nor'easter well to our south. We didn't get the bulk of the rain. We didn't get a lot of rain yesterday, but now we're seeing some isolated showers across the area. Got an energetic crew here at Kennebunk Elementary. Got the rain gear on. That's the most important. They are ready for the elements today. We got to get to our bus stop. Forecasters waiting over here patiently. You got your hood up, right? I had my hood up for a little while. What's your name? And what's the weather this morning? Rainy. Good job, buddy. And what's your name?
Kinsey.
And what's the weather at recess today?
Will be a few showers, 58.
Yeah, that's not too bad. And what about you? What's the weather after school?
A few showers, 57.
And what's your name?
Claire.
Claire. All right, they did a great job. All right, you guys over here, you guys enjoying the rain?
Yeah.
You have the rain boots, the rain coat, and the umbrella. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
And what about you? You got the classic raincoat on. You staying dry?
Yes.
You had a little rain dance earlier. I saw you dancing in the rain, right? I love it. All right, what's coming on down to here? You enjoying the rain? You look a little cold. A little cold this morning?
Yeah.
All right, you like the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, we got some good answers there. We certainly need it with the drought we're in, and even the kids understand that we need the rain this morning. It was a little fun here. All right, dancing it out. Well, you guys say back to you, Jessica and Terry. 1, 2, 3.
Back to you.
There we go.
Nice job,
All right,
kids.
good job, kids.
Bringing the energy on a rainy day.
It is 6:25 here on this Tuesday morning. Waterville Opera House revealing their plans for the 2026 season.
They're going to host 4 productions throughout the year, including a world premiere. There will be a comedy titled The Nerd in January and a musical, Once Upon a Mattress, in the spring. The Opera House is also just one of 6 spots nationwide debuting unabashedly. Staff say that means a lot to be showing a world premiere.
And I think that it really speaks to the fact that while we are a community theater with volunteer performers, we really have a production value and the creative team of more of a regional theater than like a Maine State Music Theater or a Gunkwik kind of theater.
If you can't wait until next year to catch a show, White Christmas will run for 3 weeks beginning next month.
626 here, Biddeford Ice Arena needs some upgrades, but it's up to voters to decide whether that'll happen. What's at stake for the town when Maine Total coverage returns? Governor Janet Mills expected to announce her run for Senate as soon as this morning. How her candidacy could impact the already crowded field ahead of the primary next summer.
And a woman with Maine connections competing for the title of Jeopardy champion. We're going to bring you to the nail-biting final round.
Maine's total coverage starts right now.
It is 6:30 on your Tuesday. Thanks so much for waking up with us. We're giving you a live look outside at Higgins Beach. People in the water right now. We got a high surf advisory that we're
51
talking
degrees.
about too. That nor'easter off the coast. Yeah, it's not that warm, but you know, people are brave with the wetsuits too.
I guess so, yeah. I'd be keeping my distance, but something tells me it's probably not their first rodeo. Those people out there walking the beach here at just about 6:30. So glad that you are here. Let's get out to meteorologist Ted McInerney with weather at your school. He is in Kennebunk today. Good morning to you, Ted.
Yeah, good morning, guys. We're here in Kennebunk, and it is definitely on the rainy and cool side. It's actually, the rain's come down just a little bit. We had a good little burst of rain a little while ago. You can see we have a few students under the awning right now. We just lost a few because they were getting a little wet, a little cold. I don't blame them this morning. They came down early. That's all that matters. Right now with Tracker 8, temperatures are on the cool side. It's in the upper 40s right now, and the rain that we just had over us is now starting to move out. So that's what you're going to see. A lot of folks are like, it's not raining at my house. A couple of little just scattered light rain showers across the area. You can see that the bulk of the rain still staying to our south and now moving out to the east. So the nor'easter did not give the dumping of rain that we certainly wanted because of the drought situation, but we'll take any rain we can get. So here's a look at the radar across the area again. A couple of scattered light rain showers across the area. The stuff in York County coming to an end right now, but it doesn't mean it's not going to pick back up again through the day today. You can see especially down in Kittery and Portsmouth area getting in on the rain. Temperatures are in the mid to upper 40s inland and low 50s toward Portland. And again, over the next 12 hours, you're going to see cool temperatures and then warming up to near 60 degrees with a chance for showers. We'll be back in just 10 minutes with a look at your full forecast.
Ted, thank you so much. An already crowded race for a seat in the U.S. Senate could get more packed. 8 Democrats, you see them here on your screen, have already announced their campaigns to challenge Maine's Republican Senator Susan Collins.
And sources say that Janet Mills could become the 9th candidate with an announcement as early as today. Cameron Lobley is joining us live now from the campus of the University of Southern Maine. And Cameron, what are experts saying about a possible run here?
Well, Jess, Terry, political experts say that a run for Senate is just a natural next step for Mills. This because she's coming up on her 2-term limit as governor, meaning she would need to take 2 years off from the Blaine House after the next election. Now, those sources close to the governor say she was urged by other Democratic leadership, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, to make a bid at unseating Susan Collins. Now, it's worth noting that Senator Collins is yet to file her bid for re-election, although she has told us in previous interviews that she does intend to run again. Political science professors say Mills' history in Maine politics could shake up the race's current Democratic lineup.
Janet Mills is Janet Mills. And if she decides to get into this race, you know, I would say she's immediately the front runner. That doesn't mean she's going to get the nomination, but she will have, there's a lot of people that, especially Democrats, that really like Janet Mills.
Now, later tonight, Governor Mills will be here at USM to talk as part of a public forum on democracy and the rule of law. It's currently unclear how that would fit into a campaign announcement if she does end up making one today. We're live in Portland. Cameron Lobley for Maine's Total Coverage.
Cameron, thank you. If and when Governor Mills announces a run for Senate, those who have the WMTW app with push notifications turned on will be among the first to know. Make sure you're one of them and check out our election guide. While you're there, we will introduce you to every candidate that's joined the race.
6:33 now. This November, Mainers will be choosing whether to implement a red flag law.
That's listed as question 2 on your ballot. Governor Janet Mills has come out against the proposal, arguing it would undermine Maine's existing gun confiscation law, which is the yellow flag law. This red flag law would allow a family to petition a judge directly to get guns taken away from a person if they pose a threat.
This was proposed after the Lewiston mass shootings, and now the former executive director of the independent commission tasked with investigating all the events which led up to this has come out in support of the red flag law. Ann Jordan argues that if current law was working, the Lewiston gunmen's weapons would have been taken away by law enforcement.
We would have been better off with a red flag law with Robert Card. His sister and brother-in-law, his brother and his sister-in-law tried desperately to get help when the police didn't do anything, and they couldn't. There was nothing else they could do.
Back in August, we reported data from the Maine Department of Public Safety which showed that in the wake of the Lewiston mass shootings, there's been more than 1,000 dangerous weapon seizure orders issued under the current yellow flag law. Jessica.
Also next month, Terry, Biddeford voters will be asked to approve a $6 million bond aimed at improving the parks there and the city's ice arena. Officials say Biddeford Ice Arena needs a lot of improvements like new bleachers, pipes, and a new Zamboni in order to keep up with demand. Voters can hear more about that bond tonight at 6 at the J. Richard Martin Community Center.
Cruise ship season is not over just yet. More than 20 cruise ships are scheduled to dock in Portland from now until the end of next month. The giant Silver Shadow departing tonight after arriving in the harbor yesterday, one of 3 cruise ships in town. Passengers, many of them bundled up like it was winter. No judgment here. They wandered through the old port, hopping on trolleys and tour buses.
Just toured your lighthouses. Very, very interesting. I've got some great pictures and learning the history, what have you. It's fascinating.
We're checking out the lighthouses. We're going to go hiking. We're going to hopefully maybe see whales if we can. I don't know. Eat lobster for the first time.
Hopefully they were able to see a whale. I'm sure they were able to get lobster more easily, though. Tour guides directing visitors to some of the local hotspots, Holy Donut, Gilbert's Chowder House. Lines were long there at those locations.
6:35 now. A Stacyville woman seriously hurt after crashing her ATV early yesterday. Officials say that 70-year-old was riding on a public road when items began to fall off the back of the ATV. State officials say it appeared to turn and crash shortly after. The woman, who was not wearing a helmet at the time, was thrown from the vehicle. She was flown to the hospital in critical condition. Terry.
Jessica, several birds in Maine testing positive for West Nile virus. These new cases being reported in Penobscot and Hancock counties. Local officials confirmed the 2 crows found dead in Brewer tested positive for the virus. A raven in the town of Surrey also positive for West Nile. Maine CDC officials say the virus spreads through mosquito bites, meaning infected birds can't transmit the virus to other birds, pets, or people.
All right, time right now, 6:36 on your Tuesday morning. Let's take a look at traffic. You'll notice as of right now, of course, some wet roads, hit or miss showers, but overall no impacts to your morning commute from 95, 295, and Route 1. Here's a look at areas closer to downtown Portland, looking pretty good, but we are still watching a house fire that has now impacted a road closure, Harpswell Neck Road, Route 123, and that's going to be south of Mitchell Field. So that road is going to be closed for as of right now. We'll continue to update you throughout the morning, but here's a look at your drive times. Overall, pretty good. We'll take a look with meteorologist Ted McInerney, who is in Kennebunk this morning with the kids.
Yeah, good morning, Victoria. We lost a few, but we got 4 folks that have stayed with us, and the rain stopped just then. But we do have a chance for a couple of scattered showers today. What do you guys want to say to everybody at home?
Good morning!
Keep waving. All right, everybody, we're back for weather at your school. We lost a few, but it was raining pretty good for a while, and now things have definitely improved. We'll see a few showers through the day today, but generally not the big rain event that we were hoping for, but we'll take any rain we can get today. All right, we have a good group here with the second graders at Kennebunk Elementary School. You guys stayed through the rain. It was coming down for a little while. You had your rain boots on and rain coats, the hood's up, the umbrella. You can put that down. All right, first off, what's your name? Claire, what's the weather right now? 48?
48.
What about the rain? It was coming down pretty good. What about right now?
It stopped.
It did stop. The rain did stop. All right. And what's your name?
Nora.
Nora, what's the weather at the bus stop pickup? A couple showers?
Couple showers.
It's a little chilly, right?
A little chilly.
Did you check out the waves of the beaches yesterday?
No.
No. Okay. Well, there's a high surf advisory today till 8 o'clock. And what's your name?
Finn.
Finn, what's the weather at recess today? A couple showers?
Couple showers.
Which mainly what?
Mainly cloudy.
Mainly cloudy. Okay, good job there. And Emmett, right? Emmett, what's the weather after school today?
Cloudy, maybe a couple showers.
You're walking away from me. I have to follow Emmett over here. Okay. These guys did a great job. You guys feel like forecasters now?
Yeah.
You got the snow cap on, winter cap. I mean, it's a little chilly this morning with the rain, even though the temperature normally would say it's all right, but you get that dampness. All right, guys, can you say back to you, Terry and Jessica?
Back to you, Terry and Jessica.
Night.
Nicely done. Great job. Now, the contestant with the main connection